In late-breaking fantasy news, your first-round draft pick will be out for today's game. You have 10 seconds to change your lineup.
Hey, the game just started. Did you get your lineup changed?
It's just a dream. It's just a dream. Hey there, fantasy football fans.
Welcome back for week 2 of
Hot Tub Sleeper Picks.
We'd like to take a moment to thank you all for making last week's episode our best ever.
And congratulations if you made it through week 1 without pulling your hair out.
Whew, and what a bunch of ugly games.
And some might say some really botched calls. Come on, refs.
Detroit got robbed.
Calvin Johnson got robbed. But we should get started. So, my sleeper pick for week 2 is Matt Hasselbeck, starting quarterback for Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. Felt like I was watching a younger man last week with Matty leading the Hawks for a week 1 upset against the very strong San Fran defense. Hasselbeck faces Denver this week. The Broncos made David Gerard look great and should totally extend the same treatment to my guy. So I'd look for at least 2 touchdowns and 250 yards as the Seahawks go 2-0.
Now, this week saw quite a few key players go down, so let's check in with our injury nurse.
Hi fans. The injury that I'm most concerned about is the Kevin Kolb concussion. Now with the QB's short-lived day, Philly looked dazed and confused as Michael Vick took the reins. But after a few short plays, we quickly learned that he's still got some magic left in him. So if you believe Andy Reid, then there's no reason to panic if Kolb is your starter. But if you smell quarterback controversy like I do, pick up Vick fast. And then there were my boys. Deshaun Jackson, Brent Selleck, they were barely used last week. But Vic did start to look towards the tight end at the end of the game, so who knows? Maybe this is the start of a new trend if he actually has some regular playing time. Oh, also guys, keep an eye on the Lions. Now, team managers might be willing to deal a guy like Calvin Johnson after a tough week 1, but also Megatron and the rest of the Lions might be had cheap. And we think ex-Terp Shawn Hill can lead Schwartz's boys just fine. Until Stafford comes back.
Speaking of injuries, my sleeper pick this week is Brandon Jackson of the Green Bay Packers. With Ryan Grant out for the season, the longtime underachieving understudy will get his chance to shine. The Pack is playing Buffalo, who featured the league's worst run defense last season and didn't look much better last week against the Finns. Jackson is also a free agent next season, so opportunity plus contract year usually equals success. I'm looking for at least 80 yards and a touchdown.
Now before we get to my sleeper pick, let's hop into the bedroom.
Welcome back to the Stardom Sid'em Slumber Party. This week's must-star is LeSean McCoy. With all the quarterback issues in Philly, expect to see Andy Reid lean on his running backs, especially McCoy. While the Lions are improved defensively, they still allowed Matt Forte over 200 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns. I also expect McCoy to see his share of dump-off passes from Michael Vick, allowing him to catch the ball in space and pile up the yardage. He'll finish with 150 all-purpose yards and a score, so make sure you have him on your starting lineup.
Good call, Lindsay. Well, this week's player that you've got to bench is Pierre Thomas, starting running back for the New Orleans Saints. Now, last year's Super Bowl champs face off against San Francisco and Patrick Willis, who may be leading the 49ers defense to a top 5 ranking by the year's end. So, will the Saints win? Yeah, but not with Pierre leading the way. So this will be Breeze's day of 40-plus passes, and if any Saint running back is gonna do anything, it's gonna be the tarnished Reggie Bush. Thomas may have slight value in a PPR league, but otherwise, bench him.
Nice. Okay, back to the tub.
Thanks, girls, and special thanks to Melissa this week for going Iron Man and doubling up. And finally, my sleeper pick this week is Danny Amendola, wide receiver for the St. Louis Rams. Last week, Amendola had 6 catches and should continue his growth into the Rams version of Wes Welker. This week, St. Louis travels to Oakland in a very winnable game. Oakland has a very strong front four with exciting linebackers, but Bradford looks cool, probably just cool enough to evade Oakland blitzes with short crossing patterns to Danny. This kid has a long career with the Rams ahead of him, and this week should make people take notice. Look for close to 10 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown.
So that's it for this week's episode of Hot Tub Sleeper Picks.
Make sure you're checking out our website, hottubsleeperpicks.com, often.
And stay tuned through the credits this week for our waiver wire watch.
See you next week.
Bye.
Are you still there? I've got a secret tip from The Wire. Max Hall is the future quarterback for Arizona, and the future is closer than you think. With Derek Anderson targeting Fitzy 15 times and only completing 3, you know the star receiver is in his coach's ear. Grab Max Hall while you still can. He has everything a quarterback needs to succeed in the NFL. Most importantly, an incredible offense just waiting for him to get the job.